Do you think we should clap?
just for fun?
Just to prove to people that we can't.
Because we want to show everyone how the sausage is made.
Right. Poorly. It is amateur hour over here. We love what we do. We don't do it well. Yay. But we love each and every one of you. And there's no one I love more than I love Coach Sarah.
I won't tell Alex.
No, he knows. He totally knows. So
go ahead.
You baked your emotions this weekend, it sounds like.
Definitely. We have been watching all these cake episodes of the Great British Bake Off and just being like, I want cake right now. Can we have some cake? It's 8:30 p.m. We can make a cake, right? But we've talked ourselves down from that because it's, we're going to be tired at 9:15. We're going to regret that decision as soon as we're like preheating the oven. But this time we had friends coming to visit and it seemed like a really good opportunity to bake a cake and share it with other people. So that's what we did. And it was really fun. We baked a 3-layer cake, very chocolate, lots of whipped cream, cherries, a Black Forest gâteau for those of you who saw the Black Forest Gâteau Challenge in the 2014 season of the Great British Bake Off. It was really
I am
good.
wildly impressed.
A lot of fun.
Things that I love the way your mind works. His mind just operates differently. It's 8:30 at night. I really want cake. Post it, Postmates.com or Seamless Web or Grubhub. I mean, I will order that cake. I'm going to bake it. Gosh, no wake the kids up. Can't have that. No one's enjoying anything.
I don't even know, okay, so let's say that, I mean, obviously Postmates, Seamless Web, all of these things are things that I have at my disposal, but like, where would they be bringing me cake from? If they're going to bring me cake from anywhere that I don't trust, do I really want it? Because like, if I want cake, I want the cake that I'm watching on the television as like the judges like put their forks in it and like mush it with their fork to see if it's baked. I'm like, eat that cake, eat it. Don't mess with it. Don't play with it.
If I really wanted that cake on TV, all the more reason to order it out. It would never happen if I tried to make it.
But like, if you order it out, what if it comes and then it's disappointing?
I am never disappointed with things that I didn't do myself. And I know that maybe sounds a little sad, but like when you put time and effort into it, it's got to be worth the time and effort. When it was just money that you didn't, and I mean, I know that sounds very privileged, just money, but like, I'm not going to get that hour back at 8:30 at night of trying to make it and then waiting and then being like, I could have just ordered it.
Well, that's why we never
better than this.
Yeah, that's why we waited until we knew we had friends coming to visit from out of town. And then we spent our time during the day yesterday making it. And I was actually just talking about this with one of my friends. She was like, so does it make you mad when your husband will, like when you cook on the weeknights, but then your husband cooks on the weekends and he gets to like spend all day doing elaborate things and like be a real big show off about it? And I was like, no. And here's why. Because he knows that is his time and he is choosing to spend his time that way. He's doing it because he wants to. Because like the act of cooking like that is like pleasurable to him the same way like playing video games was pleasurable to him when he was 25. This is like his video games now. And the fact that he sees it that way and he doesn't see it as the same thing as like what I do on weeknights to get everybody fed. He's like, this is what I'm choosing to do for fun. So that is what makes it to me like something that doesn't irritate me. It would irritate me if he were like, I cooked all day, like everybody give me a medal. He's like, I cooked all day and I'm really glad. Thanks for letting me do that. Cause he would rather be cooking than like doing a collage. So would I, as it turns out.
Yep.
So when he's ready to get to cook and I'm doing the collage, then
now
like, yeah, we can agree that like, yes, we chose to spend this time this way. It was entertainment for us. It was fun. If it can't happen at 8:30 p.m. on a weeknight when we just really want cake, at least we can like make a plan and then spend several days thinking about it and planning it and what do we need to get and what do we need to do the night before. That's very fun for us. And it's fun that we're like both into it at the same time. So
amazing. The fun that my husband and I got into at the same time was The President on Netflix. It's a scripted series from the guys who made Glee and American Horror Story. And for some reason, this is just, and the obsession is like, it's so the setting is like Beverly Hills, very posh private high school. And all these kids that are running for student body president which they, of course, they need to have on their perfect application for Harvard. And so all I could think of, I mean, was you watching this being like, you are competing to be in Dr. Coach Sarah's class for what? It's kind of epic to watch. I don't know if you'll watch it and be like, yep, or not really. But we found it very entertaining and consumed a date night, which is probably a little bit healthier on Valentine's Day weekend than what we did last weekend, which was watch back-to-back Knives Out and Ready or Not.
Interesting. So tell me about that, because I know you and I differed on Ready or Not, and I felt like Knives Out was the movie Ready or Not wanted to be. And I really liked Knives Out, and it gave me what I felt like Ready or Not didn't give me. So I'd be interested to watch them back to back. What did you think?
I see. It stressed me out a little bit more. It stressed me out a little bit more than Ready or Not did. Ready or Not, I loved watching the incompetence of people like having to find a YouTube video of how to use their crossbow. I'm like, what? You don't even know what you're doing or why you're doing the things that you do. But yeah, I agree. Knives Out was, if I had to pick one of the two, I would pick that. So much so about my husband, the sweater, the fisherman honeycomb Aaron knit sweater. It's great. He's never going to wear it.
In that color too.
Yeah. It's really great. It's really great. But yeah, I feel like they thematically they both kind of go together, and neither one is particularly scary, and both of them make me think. And they have pretty people being doing horrific things. And Jamie Lee Curtis, there's never a bad time to watch Jamie Lee Curtis do absolutely anything.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, like so many great fun people to watch in that movie. Totally. I really, really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo! Well, happy Valentine's Day to us. And then there's nothing we love more than all you guys that make the fitness protection program happen. Thank you for being here. I just realized when I went into the membership area of the website, we had our podcast editor strip the sound from the Cameo that I bought for the Runners Interrupted, that I thought you could click on it and then download it in the membership area, and you cannot. So I will be emailing the sound file to everyone tonight. That was totally my bad. I apologize. There are things I can do as an admin that no one else can do, and I did not know that until after the email went around and people started trying to click on it. They're like, I can't download this. I'm like, oh, okay. Shoot. This is what I get for trying to do it on two different computers. To be like, does it work? Does it work? Oh, both computers know it's me. That's not a really good test. That's not double blind now, is it? Oh, well. This is why things fall apart when you're not here, Sarah.
What can I say? I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for everyone who did not get a chance to download the sound file, but I hope that you just went to Cameo and played it over and over and over again. And
I kind of don't have to, because get this, it is no joke, it is my alarm.
That's incredible. I love that.
As you can see.
That's
hey y'all, keep pushing. I believe in y'all. Y'all come so far, y'all worked so hard. Let's go!
That's how I get out of bed, and I love it. I love it. That is my gift to the crowd, to all y'all, you guys as well.
That's the best alarm. That's so great. Oh my God.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I think it's fun. And speaking of things that are fun, we've got a fun evening here for you guys tonight in the Fitness Protection Program. This is our weekly segment, Ask Away, where Coach Sarah and I answer all the questions and celebrate the wins for all of our runners in the Fitness Protection Program. We're going to start by counting the weekly wins for our participants in the Runner Interrupted trademark approved. Yay! The Runner Interrupted program, which is a support program designed to help people get through periods of not running for any and every reason. There is no bad reason to be in Runner Interrupted, but there are bad reasons to not be in Runner Interrupted, loved by us, supported and surrounded by community. Why wouldn't you, for $1 a day? Then after counting up their weekly wins and showing them that they are in fact still winning at life, that had nothing that was happening before they even started running, we're going to pivot over to the people in Rebuild, who are the Rebuild is a program that was designed for people who want to reestablish a running habit after 6+ months away from that. And it can be, we're talking like if you had this habit before and you are returning to it, this is a program that does not assume that you are brand new to fitness. The one that will is the sister program called Build, and that we are hoping to release in 2021. This year we have Rebuild for people who are not new to fitness, just who have been taking a break of any duration that really want to reestablish that habit and get back into a good groove. And then we'll be taking questions from people in our Maintain program. Maintain is a program for anyone who has a modicum of fitness that they would like to maintain. Marathon training plans and half marathon. You don't really need a half marathon training plan. We're going to offer them because people keep asking. But I'm like, we give you a taper plan, and if you've been in here for 3 months, you are prepared to run a half. But we're gonna create a more specialized plan for because people just can't. And I get it. The things are the way they are because they were the way they were, and it's just sort of like, I don't understand why I don't need it. I'm like, well, when you're running on average 2.5 hours every single month, at least twice, like you're probably going to be fine to show up and run. Maybe not like race at top performance, but that's a totally different question. You can show up and do respectably well anywhere without having the pressure of being on a training plan where every workout counts and every week counts and there's a clock ticking down. Who needs that? Gosh, I Lord knows I do not need more pressure in my life, and that is not going to improve my performance in any way, shape, or form. After answering all the questions from people in Maintain, we will then be coming back to the questions from people in Slow Burn, who I'm impressed are still able to speak at this point in the training cycle. And we'll probably start with a little bit of a recap from Coach Sarah telling us how she's feeling now that we have finished week 1 of month 2.
We have finished week 2 of month 2. Count it, people. 2 weeks down, 2 to go. Oh my God, you scared me there for a second.
How are you feeling about that?
I am tired. That today was the first day.
I
really don't want to do this. Like, I would love to call in sick on this strength video. I would love to tell everybody that actually I'm indisposed at the moment.
Janet,
my child's butt for the next hour and I'm unavailable. I've had to leave during strength videos twice in the last 6 weeks to wipe Ross's butt. And everyone's very understanding about it. Usually I think they're kind of grateful for the break. I kind of am too. Today was very hard, very, very hard. There were tons of reps, the sideline runners, so many reps,
they're
the
hard.
pistol squats, so many reps. I was like barely hanging on by the end of them. And I was trying really hard to just have good form. I was very tired. So I'm very tired. That's how I'm feeling.
But we love you.
Yes.
I loved Coach Sarah. I hope you feel that.
I do. People are very sweet. They always leave lovely comments on the videos. I love it when people comment to say, hey, I did it. Just letting you know. That makes me very happy. This was the first day where I was really like, I would love to not have to do this for the next 2 weeks, but it's only 2 more weeks. I am at the point where I say to myself, okay, we have 9 more of these, 9 more strength sessions.
Count them down. I got a calendar crossing off each day.
Yeah. Oh, there's a little bit of that happening for sure.
Good. There should be whatever it is to get you through that one and into the next one. And, I'm not here to judge, or I'm not going to tell you what to feel or how to deal. I'm just going to say, I'm going to motivate, I'm going to support, and I'm going to encourage as much as possible. Never, ever, ever push. You are doing enough of that to yourselves most of the time. You were before I came along. If anything, I'm here to what is it you need me to do, Coach MK? I'm like, it's probably less. Mm-hmm. Less will probably be the answer. Yeah. So when we start with runner interrupted, we'll come back to more.
Well, let's talk to Katie though.
Yes. Oh, that's right. We wanted to do a segment. I'm sitting here looking at the bottom of my screen. I'm so in the mode now. We wanted to do this. Sorry.
No, I was just, so we did this last week with Kristen. Hi, Kristen. Kristen was amazing. We had so many people respond to our podcast back in January called What You Didn't Miss While You Weren't Running. Turns out a lot of people have been through periods of not running or are going through periods of not running. And so we had a lovely segment where Kristen came on and talked about what it was like to not be running for a while. She had to have surgery on her wrist because she broke it, and it was actually kind of an involved process to get it healed. Not only the experience of not running and kind of what was going through her, but also celebrating the fact that she was able to just kind of take that step back and know that it wasn't because she quit, wasn't because she wasn't a runner anymore. It was because she had to take some time. And there are all kinds of reasons. There are no bad reasons to not be running. There are no bad reasons. So Katie is another person who wrote to us and said, hey, yeah, I just all of a sudden looked at my Training Peaks and saw that I hadn't run in about a week, and I'm happy to talk about it. So that's what we want. We want to talk to her about it. This is going to be a segment that will air every week or every couple of weeks where we just check in with people who haven't been running and give them a big yay for what they have been doing.
Because I think that's the question that surprises me the most every time I get it, and we get it pretty consistently. It's like, when do I have to go into Run or Uninterrupted? And I'm like, never. But if you are in a period of not running and you just want the additional support, you have access. One subscription to Fitness Protection Program gets you access to all 3 programs, and you can move back and forth at will by yourself. You have access to all 3 at all times, and there's no permission needed. Or none granted. It's guided DIY. We give you all the information you need to make good informed decisions, and we really want you to feel in control of your training. It's never punitive, like I haven't done enough, and so being put into Run or Uninterrupted is a punishment. It's rather, it's again that from that ownership standpoint of, I have a really sick kid. I'm in this period at work, and you know what? I'm recovering from something. I'm staring down the barrel of something very prolonged that could disrupt my ability, willingness, or even energy levels required to run. Run or Uninterrupted was designed to get you through that with humor and, acknowledging the suck while lifting you up simultaneously, which is basically the program that I needed while I was confined to bed for 2 years, producing Final Fleming. You can probably hear screaming downstairs. She's speaking now, and she might look like my husband, but she sounds like me. And I love that. But so we feel like this segment is pretty important because we want to validate people. And this is the final thing I'll say about it. When people, I designed this to be easy to join and easy to leave. I've never liked the big joining fees at gyms or clubs. And I really wanted to avoid all of that. I understand why it's necessary from psychologically and from a business model, but I really wanted to make this as widely accessible as possible. And those entry fees have kept me out of a lot of places that I wanted to be at different points in my life. So when people talk about, well, I only ran twice this month, I can't justify paying $1 a day for this program anymore. I'm like, it's 4 lattes, right? It's really, I don't want people. I don't punish anyone. I don't approach my coaching from a punitive perspective as, punishment is motivation. Like, you guys have to behave in order to keep me in line. Like, that's ridiculous. And that's really not what a lot of us do with our kids. It's what I have no reason. I don't do it with my kids. I'm certainly not going to do it with my clients. I want you to feel empowered. If you want to leave, that's fine, but don't leave because you feel like you hadn't used it enough or done it enough. It's about support that's there every day that you need it. Kind of like health insurance. Like health insurance is never more important than when you need it and it's not there. And the times when I have needed health insurance most, frankly, we didn't have it when I was a kid. And the times when I've needed a coach the most in my adult life are the times when I've been least able to connect with one because I wasn't doing the one thing that I would have been able to hire them to do, which is watch me run. So with all that in mind, Katie Kelso, tell us why you're not running.
It depends on the day. I would run because I signed up for a race, and then I would stop running for a while, and then I would sign up for a race, but then I'd train too much and get injured and then stop running for a while. And then I finally got old enough to stop doing that to myself. So it depends on the day. Like, there was a week last week where I just needed to get something done on a certain day, and that was the only day I had to do it. And then we had game night with our friends, which I wasn't willing to cancel. And then I had conferences at school, and then my kids at swim. So it just depends. Like, there are weeks that are just kind of like that.
And those weeks tend to happen more frequently, it feels like, in the wintertime. And there's a lot of crappy messaging out there right now. And I get that it feels like motivation, but we're working on a whole podcast series where we talk about that. It's a fine line between motivating and abusing a person, like just inducing a whole lot of shame. So when we think about, it's like, oh, I didn't run today, therefore I'm not dedicated. It's like, I reject that notion. Most of us are really good at fitting into things that we want to do. And when it's 20 degrees outside, I see on the ground, and the only window you have to do your run is at 5:30 in the morning. If you opt not to do it, I'm kind of like, that's probably not a bad choice.
Right.
I mean, I can't promise you that you can do that every single day and, BQ at your marathon at the end of the month, but that's not the question most people are asking. And that's one of the reasons why I like this program. I wanted it to be, I wanted to be talking to people outside of the context of a super high pressure training cycle that frankly doesn't determine any outcome in your life, but can define your self-esteem. It's just a different way of connecting with people, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I know that on any given day, if I didn't get a run in, it's not for lack of trying, and it's not because I didn't want to. It's because sometimes it just doesn't work. And I feel okay about that. Like I don't feel bad or guilty about that. And then sometimes the reason I don't get a run in it is because I'm so tired, or I really just need to hang out with my husband. And that's okay.
It's legit. That is legit. Spending time with husbands is a good thing to do. I will probably be spending time with mine later tonight instead of going for the, it's 20 minutes. If I could do it once all this is done, I might, but I'm like, if I don't, it's 20 minutes. It'll be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I love that. I've never heard a bad reason to not run.
Yeah.
Sure.
What I've had are like bad reasons to like beat ourselves up for not getting that run done. I think both those reasons sound really legit. When is the last time you were able to, or is this just how you've always been, or has the program kind of helped you reframe the way you look at your running in some way so that you could do this? How did you feel about your running last January?
No, this is definitely a reframe. So I got injured again. I've ridden the injury train a lot. Because like I said, like I would sign up for a race and I would train and I would either get to the starting line healthy or I wouldn't. But like I either got to the starting line healthy and then I got injured, or I didn't start the race. So the last race I didn't start, I think was 2 years ago. I got a stress fracture again. So I didn't run for a while and I thought that's okay. Like I can do other things. And then I thought I kind of miss this. I kind of need to be running again. So I went to physical therapy to make sure like mechanically there wasn't anything that I needed to address. And he gave me the green light to go ahead, which is about the same time I started slow burn, which if I'd known how hard it was going to be, I might have chosen differently, but I'm in it, so I might as well finish.
Well, we're going to have to come back to you later and talk about that. I'm like, what could we have said differently to articulate the difficulty level of this program?
I don't know if I would have listened. I don't know. Okay. And I'm not sorry I'm doing it. I'm really not. Like it's been hard. And there are days that, nope, can't do that many reps. That's okay. I can do this many. I can't do that many. And that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. So I decided like once I got the all clear from the PT, I just started slow burn. And so he had asked me what my goals were for running. And I said, honestly, like I need to break that cycle for myself of sign up for a race and train and get injured and then heal and then sign up for a race and train. Like that needs to not be the only reason I'm running is to do a training plan. So I said, honestly, if I can spend the next year getting healthy and getting stronger and running consistently, if I can start training for a half next January, I will be very happy with that. Like if I can go into a training plan in a year being healthier and being stronger, like that's going to be a win for me.
I love that. And hopefully we can support you every step of the way. A long-term view is really the way to go. If we say out of one side of our mouths that we really want to be doing this until we're 80, and then we turn around and like race our training the next day because somebody, called us a name on Strava or like threw shade at us. And I'm kind of like, people throw shade at me all the time. I'm like, I need it. I'm pasty. So shade just protects me.
Well, I'm just too old for that at this point. Like I'm in my early 40s and I am a little tired of being creaky. So I knew I needed to get stronger just overall. And I was also always one of those runners that if I had 4 hours to run this week, then I'm going to run for 4 hours. I'm not going to run for 3 hours and do strength for an hour or whatever. Like I'm just going to spend all those minutes running, which is not good for your body, especially not when you're over 40. So I needed to take the long view on running just like everything else.
I love that. One of my best friends is the CEO of Eleanor Health. Got a plug for Corbin here. She's a real badass. She's one of my favorite people, and she was my running buddy in graduate school. And she has frequently described a cycles in a person's life kind of being like a pendulum swinging, and it'll go too far this direction and then kind of come back too far in this direction. And it's hard for each individual. And Courtney, yes, you did say this, only you said it in regards to marriage a long time ago. And I love her so much. I remember everything she says. I'm that friend that sort of like makes everyone like scared to speak. Like, you really did wasn't. I'm like, no, I did. You say great shit. So with that, I use that visualization a lot, thinking about a pendulum that goes too far one direction, and then it's going to so you over promise and then over correct. And so she was saying, like, you need to avoid dating people that kind of have the pendulum thing, because I was making terrible choices back then. And now that I'm a coach, that's always somewhere in the back of my head, because that's the only option. I was making bad choices and I really did have more options when I was dating. But when it comes to running, there just aren't that many options. So I feel like when you give people better options, and they will make better decisions and not have the pendulum go too far one direction, with the overpromising yourself and then overcorrecting just to participate. So I'm glad to hear it's working, and I'm glad to hear that slow burn is working too. That was another one I felt a little conflicted about, because I always trying to reconcile like what I say and what people hear to make sure I'm giving the cleanest coaching cues possible. And I didn't want it to feel like a money grab. Like I was like, oh, you know what? You could just not do the running and slow burn, only do the strength. I figured this out about partway through. We had a person that couldn't keep up with the running, but would do the strength every day. And I was like, oh, we could market this to rebuilders and Runners Interrupted too, maybe. And I kind of backed off of that really quickly, because I was like, oh no, we just ran the beta test. Don't want to look greedy. There's a lot coming up in 2020. I don't want to push this too hard. So let's just see how it works. And that kind of, you just made me realize that maybe that's exactly what we need to do. Just offer up the option and not, I don't have to ask more, Sarah, not be so nervous. Me, I do get nervous.
Schedule-wise, I should do first thing morning. And in the evening I do, and if I don't, at least I've done something. So, and at this point, just for me, I feel like the strength is what I really, really need. So if I get a run, it's a bonus, and if not, it's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that too, honestly.
Like the variety.
Yeah. Today was like, I might get one out of these two things done. And I know it's got to be the strength. And that is not the way I would like to think about things, but it is the correct way to think about things in this instance. It's almost certainly what I need more. And it has me feeling really good. So I think that's a really good mindset. And I like the way slow burn reinforces that.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much
for telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the program. I appreciate it.
Yay. We'll talk to you soon. Yay.
Okay,
See you for strength.
Yes. Thank you.
Yay. I love that. It always makes me so happy. It made me happy when Helen said it back when she was beta testing slow burn, and made me even happier to hear Katie say it. So that's exciting. It's really exciting. I like, because again, it's just more options. I like having more options, more flexibility. We come to you like in your home, and you can pick it up whenever you want. All you got to do is make the space. We got the program. You find the time. So I like that. It's a time time for some weekly wins, or do you want
time for some weekly wins? So it's been I think I've really said all that I have to say about how I'm feeling. I think everyone got the gist. Runner Interrupted was quiet this week. We did have a weekly win that I really loved, and I will check with this person to make sure she's okay with us including it in the podcast. We won't say her name, but this is a boob focused victory that she told us about. So this person is undergoing radiation currently, and she talked about that. I think it'll be clear why I wanted to include this anyway. If she wants us to cut it out of the podcast, we will. She says, I'm quoting her now. I'm starting to get itchy from radiation. Wearing a bra is super uncomfortable. I finally decided to say, screw it. Didn't put my bra on today after today's session. I then went to the grocery store before work. Pre-surgery, my boobs were huge, and I literally never went without a bra. I can't tell you how happy I was bopping down the aisles like I didn't have a care in the world, knowing that my temporary boobs weren't moving and no one could tell they were unrestrained. Liberating. Yay! And then she added, if this gets deleted later, it's because I regretted the overshare and got embarrassed. But she didn't delete it. So
I say
this makes me so happy. I love it. I love everything about it.
Me too.
I'm a little jealous. I'm not jealous about any other thing in this situation. I know you've been through extreme hardships, and I love you for it. I love you for like coming out the other side and telling us about this, and the fact that you get to experience this makes me happy for you.
But this is where my brain ventures into the absurd, right? Like, it's not fair that this is happening. It's not fair that you have to endure it. So why wear it alone? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I would show up with like braless and be like, I'm sorry, y'all. I'd like, if there's a cancer card, I would make one. I would go to Etsy rather, and I would buy one. Be like, there's a cancer card, and play it everywhere I go. Sorry, I have cancer. I would not like to waste my time waiting in this line. Thank you. Psst, I am not wearing panties. Oh, you know why? Because I have cancer. Could you seat me quickly? Thank you. Psst, oh, I'd love a free meal. Like, you're not going to have it forever. Why not maximize it while you do, to let like the scales of karma sort of like even themselves out? It feels like the big scales of justice. So that's what I say, but I am not a licensed medical professional. I'm not a therapist of any kind. I'm just somebody who makes the best of every crappy situation. And I like to think that that's what I would do. And that's what I've encouraged all my friends to do. I'm like, do it while you can. Mm-hmm. Ask for the favors. Or like, don't demand excuses, make people feel like crap. Like, oh, I'm sorry, did you know? Guess what? They'll stop staring. Like, you're gonna have the moral upper hand. Like, own it, wield it, get a little jiggy with it, and keep on going. But that's me.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I hope that if you're listening, the person who commented this, I hope that if you're listening, that you feel extremely validated in your decision to go to the grocery store without your bra on. I love it; it makes me super happy, and that is what we have for
the places without a bra in my Yeti.
I mean, seriously, all kinds of places, all kinds of places.
Be surprised if you have seen me in my Yeti. I have probably not had underwear underneath it.
That's amazing.
I might have had the shirt that I slept in and was just like, I don't have the wherewithal to put on pants.
No, putting on pants is a lot to ask.
Yeah.
So with that, go forth. And I think now we move on to rebuild. We have 2 questions in rebuild. Yeah. And the first one is this. So it looks like I'm somewhere between rebuild and runner interrupted for the next while. Newest diagnosis is not so much high blood pressure, but hella stress and cortisol. I've been staying in rebuild because I still can walk, usually 20 to 60 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week in the last few weeks at a solid mosey pace. Will the daily strength or the Bozu series jack up my cortisol? If or when I do want to shuffle more than walk, would a cap of 120 be better than 140? Is there any other work I should avoid while I'm working on reduced stress or cortisol? I still hope to exercise the option of slow burn this year, but it looks like it'll have to be the late offering, not the next one.
That's cool. So this is how I would kind of look at it. And this is also coming from the personal experience. In the times when I've had that much stress going on, stress reduction just adds to the stress. Like, something else to do. I got to get stressed down. So there might be, and I don't know if you're doing this, but I would not be doing my job if I didn't say it. Jesus loves me. This I know, for he gave me Lexapro. Check it out. This is something Glennon Doyle says and quotes a lot. If maybe there is a tool that you could get that would help manage your stress levels while you get everything else under control. If that's available to you, why not? You can, I believe, certain SSRIs can be prescribed by a PCP, a general practitioner, family practice. Not all psychiatric drugs need to come directly from a therapist. The ones that I take do. But the drugs I take for my ADHD do. But certain, I think Lexapro, Celexa, Wellbutrin, there's that class, newer class of SSRIs are more widely available outside of a clinical mental health setting. So it might be worth asking for, especially with all this going on, because doing more might not be in your best interest. And I know this probably feels like I'm dancing around your question, but it's sort of like a yes and rather than a but. But step one would be like, are you taking care of your mental health, too? Because that can feed into all of this. Ask me how I know. I'm still not quite 100%, but now that we have definitely got all of the big, clear medical red flags out of the way while we're waiting for a few other things to fall in place, I am taking that step personally to help bring everything else aligned. I've been Lexapro is one of those drugs that you can take for long extended periods, but also can be assigned for short periods to get you through a period of difficulty while things normalize. That is how I have used it in the past, and that's how I'm using it now. But if I'm on it for longer, I'll totally share. Short term is generally considered to be 6 months or less, and my resting heart rate is already back down at normal levels. I wake up in the morning now; it's back at 73. Turns out that what was going on was probably not actually a heart thing, like my doctors originally thought. They were like, hey, let's talk about this. It's been long time of not being healthy. you think maybe you're depressed? I'm like, no, I know I was depressed last year. I don't think I'm depressed at all right now. I feel better than I did last year. But if you think this will help, let's do it. So far, miles better. And it's not something I ever would have considered, kind of like my sinuplasty. Someone else talked about it. And I was like, oh, you can fix that? Let's fix that. And I fixed that. So if this is an angle that you have not yet tried, why not? If it's good enough for me, definitely good enough for you. Deserve it too. That's how I like to think of it. Now moving on to the next question. During this period of hella stress, I would prefer to see you do more strength than trying to find the time to go out the door. One of the reasons that I prefer that, and if you want to go ahead and jump in and do the slow burn strength, that's fine with us. If you want to wait and do that later in the year, we'll work with you to get you whatever you need to get. But do make time and space for definitely the strength. That's going to be more important than anything else. And the reason for that is that when we are lifting heavy things, when we're doing lots of strength, when we are not doing long, low, slow, extended cardiovascular activity, we're producing more muscle and we are producing more testosterone, which is going to not even out or specifically, like, remember, I'm a coach. I'm not a medical professional. The impact of the additional muscle on your hormones will be very beneficial in these times of stress, as long as you are not overdoing it. And the final thing I'll say about this, I usually, when people know that they're really stressed out or have something really emotional going on, that those are usually the times I push them towards weights and away from running, because in the effort to quiet their mind, which is really hard to do, I like to do, remember, I encourage everyone to do their runs, treat them like a moving meditation. And the times when you can't do that and you need to shut your brain down, you're going to beat your body up. And I would rather you did that standing on a Bosu ball, because the amount of damage you can do is much more limited than the damage you could do if you were to go out for a run and be like, I am trying to stay under this heart rate cap, is stressing me out. So we're doing a more mental harm than we are physical good. So if you were to only do strength for a while, that would not be considered less than or quitting. It might, in this case, less might be the best thing you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
Is a very long answer. I tell you this, yay, Lexapro.
Follow up, let us know whether you ask someone about Lexapro and get an answer that you want to discuss with us. We want to hear about that. Any other follow-up questions you might have, you know where to find us. Thanks for keeping us updated on this. I know that it's been a long road of figuring out what's going on here. So we love it a lot.
And that's all the more reason, right? When it's a long road, it's going to take a toll on your mental health. Now, I'm not a diagnostician. I'm not qualified to do that. But knowing how long this has been going on and knowing, like, it would be shocking if it had not taken a toll on your mental health, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe that might be that. If that ends up being my missing piece, I'm hoping that yours will be as simple as well. I named my drug, but there are others in that class. There's no reason to think like this one would be right for you. I say that because I'm, again, speaking from my own experience, but it's worth having that conversation with your doctor about SSRIs and that class of drugs.
All right. Our second question in Rebuild. This is an interesting one. Do you have a mama bear mode where you jump into avenging angel mode to accomplish something for your kid or spouse or other necessary cause, advocating for services, intervening in playground fights, etc.? It feels like an adrenaline surge or something. I seem to have problems coming back down to normal from that surge. Sometimes it feels like I keep myself ready for the panic button all the time and don't really get back down to normal. Are there any good strategies for defragging once mama bear mode is no longer needed?
It depends on how, when I say finger quotes around the how necessary it is. I have a kid with special needs, but so I am prepared to go into mama bear mode at the drop of a hat. And the times that I have ended up doing that have not been on his behalf. They've been on behalf of people I love. They've been on behalf of my friends. It has been, I would call it misplaced, because it's like, why do you care so much about this? Like, people don't expect to see that response coming from me. So if that seems reminiscent of you at all, because I'm just very protective of the people that I love, and what I have to remember is, what am I responding to all of the times when my caregivers did not come to my rescue? And I'm trying to make sure that, and I know how much that sucks. And I'm trying to provide that act of love because I very much see it as loving. To the people I care about, but I can do that to my own detriment. And it sounds like maybe that's kind of what you're asking too. This is one of the things I explore in therapy, and you'll hear me say this. I mean, if you've been here at any period of time, you've heard me say this a lot. What am I responding to? In those moments when I feel temperature rising, that's where the self-awareness kicks in. What am I responding to? Am I responding to the situation, or am I reliving a situation? Was this anger appropriate, or is this response innate because I see where this can go because I've been there before, which is the opposite of crazy. That's sane as fuck. It really is. It's a remembered lived experience that is imprinted on your brain. And so know this, whatever's happening there is truly valid. It is. Like, you are not broken. But it's better if we can find a way to not break yourself so that this strength of yours doesn't become your greatest weakness while you have kids in the home. Running it can have therapeutic value, but to quote John Oliver, so can petting horses. I loved if you've seen the segment that he did on addiction in rehab centers, which it's really, it's really kind of heartbreaking. Anything in this world can have therapeutic value, but it's still not therapy. Running is great. It is not therapy. In these moments when you feel like I would strongly advise. I can give you tips and tools, but I really feel like I wouldn't be doing my job if I did not insist that the best place to start would be with a trained professional. It's like starting with a LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, all the way up to talk therapy. And then maybe from there are classes of drugs, the SSRIs that I've alluded to. They sort of limit the band in which you operate, and you can just do them in the short term to get through periods of really high stress, but they keep you from going into that ratcheted all the way up anger mode, and they can keep you from going all the way down into depression mode too. The way the drugs interact now, very different than the way they used to. In the wake of my first traumatic experience, I took a drug to sort of like bring me down, and it sort of flatlined my brain. And that class of drugs, and I didn't really end up taking it very long, it was called Paxil. I know it was transformative for Brooke Shields in her book Down Came the Rain, but I couldn't stand that ish. I really couldn't. The way this new class of drugs interacts on your brain, instead of flatlining you, it just sort of like it keeps your highs from being too high, your lows from being too low, and that gives you the space you need to sort of sort things out in between, and that gives you the ability to sort of sit outside yourself and observe, what am I responding to as that anger rises, rather than running along with it and sort of regretting it later, which I have done and still do on occasion. That these drugs give you the ability to sort of like observe it. Oh, I'm getting really angry. This is bothering me. As silly as that sounds, you kind of catch it before it happens, and then that's where the habit starts. Again, all of this needs to happen with a trained professional, because I can tell you, sit back and count to 5, and it's not going to work, because you're going to get mad at yourself for having to use the tool. You will not be able to objectively wield the tool itself. That's why drugs usually come along with therapy. So, and again, I talk about this openly, not to be like label people or diagnose, but rather to speak from my own experience about how, drugs are great. Therapy is great. These are tools. They are fantastic. If they are available to you, use them. There are millions and millions and millions of people who don't have access and wish they did.
Yeah.
And at the risk of people labeling me crazy forever, which there's some that will do that anyway. Yeah, I've been in therapy for 20 years. I've taken lots of drugs. I've taken heavy drugs. I've taken recreational drugs. I'm not bragging about it, but I have never said no to something I thought that would help me, including something that could carry a stigma or a label along with it. Because at this point, I just need to be whatever I need to be to make this company work. Because I don't know if you heard, but Coach Sarah quit Harvard, and I have a responsibility to keep this company going. I got 4 kids. I got a husband that travels. I got responsibility all over the place. So at the end of the day, what matters is not kind of how I feel about the tool, but I'm going to judge myself by my willingness to take it or to use it.
Yeah. We'd love to hear more. If you have anything to share with us, if you give this some thought and want to follow up, I very much relate to this, and thank you for asking, because I think that was a really helpful, in-depth answer.
Thank you.
And that is
anything y'all can do, I've done dumber. So I will answer.
And that is it. That is it
worse.
for Rebuild. And that's why we love you, because you take all of that and you give it to us in the form of wisdom, and we just get to learn from it. It's great.
Yay.
That is it for Rebuild. We have 7 questions in Maintain tonight, so let's get to them. The first one is about the dedicated marathon ramp. So the M2 workout in the dedicated marathon ramp uses the A pace from the EAT.
Yep.
This person says, I didn't do the EAT last week and I haven't done one in a long time. Is there another way I can come up with a faster pace for this workout? Thanks.
Yeah, the A pace, remember, from the EAT is just a proxy for your 10K pace, which is 2 minutes per mile fast.
Half marathon.
The
A pace is the first segment.
Yes.
That's not, B pace is your 10K.
Sorry, babe, you're correct. Sorry, you're
okay. So what the workout is asking for your A pace, you do 3-mile repeats at that pace.
I'm out of practice there. We haven't talked about the EAT in such a long time.
I know. Actually, I did this workout. I did the dedicated ramp, and I remember it. Thank God that did not have to be a 10K pace. Holy crap!
Yeah, totally. So that's
something a little chiller than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like somewhere between like a minute per mile to 90 seconds faster. And I know that can feel like a really wide range, but remember, we're not machines. It's not about perfect and science, surgical precision, save that for surgery. Really just, we need to not overdo it, right? And we need to start feeling out some of the gears that exist between easy effort and balls out. And a lot of people don't spend a lot of time playing in that zone. So I really think of this all as an opportunity to learn to run by feel. I find it very condescending and pedantic when people are like, just feel it. You just got to feel your body and feel your run. I'm like, come on, man. My entire human experience has been about not listening to my body and pushing through pain and pushing through tired and pushing and pushing. Like, don't tell me to just feel it now as though I've ever been allowed to. So I'm not going to do that to you guys. And I think it's stupid to try to do that for the first time on race day. So what the EAT was designed to do is to give you guys an idea on a person-to-person basis where your upper limits would be. And so that we never have to go there again. And in a similar vein, it's not as fast as you think it is when you take a look at my easy effort pace and where my marathon pace was. It was almost exactly a minute. Like, well, if I hadn't had to stop and walk, if I'd been able to continue, it would have been exactly a minute apart. So 1 minute faster for my marathon pace. So about 90 seconds faster is appropriate. But again, trying to find and hold that. Don't stress about it too much. But if you find yourself getting close to 10K pace, just back off a hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You should feel like you're having to restrain yourself a little bit on these. You're going to want, especially on the first one, you're going to want to go a little bit faster and you want to pull back a little bit. That's part of what you're practicing.
And celebrate that too. That's a big deal. And I celebrated that with Coach Sarah a lot when I was still training. I'm still kind of in her training peaks, like, what you doing? What you doing? But when you were in that marathon training,
really tired.
Yeah. When you were in that marathon training cycle, I remember, like, and this is the mantra. This is what you cling to. This is what you keep coming back to. In those moments when you need to back off, don't get mad at yourself for missing the mark. Get excited. Oh, I need to slow down. Mm-hmm. I could go faster, but I ain't gonna. There's something really great about having that excess energy, having the power and feeling good at faster. And there's something really empowering about choosing not to do that, as opposed to the cortisol adrenaline boost and people are like, oh my God, I'm behind, and try to push ahead. That if we could just be smug instead and be like, yay, I need to back off. I know I am proud of myself when I complete a workout that way, when I look down and I'm like, oh, I'm overshooting the mark. Yay, still got it. And then I back off. And that's exactly how I would encourage you to look at it too.
So hope that helps. Let us know how it goes. We are looking forward to hearing it. Next question. Hi, coaches. I signed up for a 10K in early April, about 7 weeks away. Would you suggest modifying anything to get ready to race a shorter distance? Thank you for everything.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you want to beat. be perfectly honest. Or if there's a person that you have in mind, and there's always a reason, right? And this is the thing I've noticed when people sign up for shorter races. They ask about performance. I'm like, relative to what benchmark? We can make anything look really good or really tragic depending on our perspectives. So if this is like the turkey trot that you have to run with your family, that's one thing. But if this is something you just kind of want to see what you got and you're like, I just want to explore, it's totally internal, then what I would do is absolutely dial in the getting the runs done, 1, getting the strength done, 2. And then if you really wanted to do something, adjust the workouts to the pace of the workouts of the harder the Monday, Wednesday workouts to the distance that you're running. So if this is a 5K you're getting ready for, make them 5K pace and cut them in half. So if it's a half-mile repeat, you're going to do a quarter mile, or if it's a half-mile repeat at 10K pace, you're going to make it a quarter-mile repeat at 5K pace, which is, again, 3 minutes per mile faster than your 140 pace. That's how I would approach it if it's 5K. If it's 10K, just do it. Just do it as written. Get real serious about the strength and follow. Did we finalize and put up the taper?
We did, yeah.
Taper doc. Okay, then follow there's a 10K taper written down in the taper document.
Well, there's a half marathon taper document, but you can follow it and use 10K pace for all of the taper workouts that would have you doing half marathon pace otherwise.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah, because that there's just one taper document and it's for a half marathon, but you basically do the exact same thing for a 10K. You just
the one that I drew out,
the race pace.
We'll have to circle back and talk about that. I remember drawing one out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's taper document. Go use it. If it's not the right one, Coach Sarah and I'll talk. I make a lot of things. I draw on people on paper.
Okay, we've given people this instruction before though to basically use the half marathon. That's the same taper. It's just that the paces are a little bit different for all the workouts the week leading up to the race. For race pace, that's 10K race pace, not half marathon race pace. That is definitely going to get you what you need. Okay, so next question is about long runs. I did 12 miles in about 2 hours and 25 minutes yesterday as my last long run before a half on March 1st. I start to feel things around the 2 hour mark, and I notice my heart rate creeps around that time as well. I slowed my pace to try and keep my heart rate down, but it stayed closer to 145, 150 for the last 2 miles or so. Is this normal or expected? Will my body adjust over time? Does this mean I should shorten long runs in the future?
No. When we try to derive meaning from something like this, people tend to go into cardiac drift mode. Cardiac drift is just initially the way coaches look at it is a measure of fitness. Meaning, the expectation with the goal is to get you fit enough to be able to run continuously without stopping at 140 or less for 1 hour. And then extend it from there. And that's sort of that's not explicitly written out, but that's definitely in the science that's baked into most coaching materials on all the books that I've been reading. You can't see what's in my office right now, but I got enough books that it's a kind of the conversation in my marriage. That once one conversation I shut down frequently. But I tell you that to tell you this. What did I tell you that? Tell you this. Sorry, I got totally distracted looking at my books.
Cardiac drift.
I got it. Sorry, cardiac drift. Cardiac drift is a problem if it's showing up in places where it shouldn't. If it's showing up at the end of a 2 hour run, normal. If it's showing up, and again, it's not about one workout. It's about the trend over time. If you are nailing this and I'm watching you one-on-one and you're nailing this week after week after week and there's no drift, and then all of a sudden there is, and it's there every single time around the same place, that's a pretty good sign that you're overtraining. If that's happening on one run in a training cycle, that's probably right where we want to be, especially at that point at the end of the hardest week in the cycle when you're going to be backing off. So I have no reason to be concerned, and I wouldn't make any changes based on what you just told me, but do continue to listen to your body as you go. It's not about the miles that you run. Time on your feet is all that matters. You're more prepared than you think you are, and your body's gonna lead the way on the rest. So I think you're in a pretty good place. I have not seen a case of cardiac drift that I needed to worry about in the longest time. But remember, most of the people I used to get were drastically overtrained, and it took months and months and months and months and months to un-overtrain them. So, and that comes after weeks and weeks of seeing cardiac drift, not like one session.
I think the next question is actually from the same person. So this half that she's preparing for is the Atlanta half on March 1st. I hear it's a hilly course ending with an uphill finish. My 140 time is around 12 minutes per mile. I'd love a race strategy, target heart rates, target paces, words of wisdom, question mark.
Yep, it's going to be hot and it's going to be hilly. If there was a good time to run in Atlanta, this is a good time. The best time of year to run in Atlanta. The humidity will hopefully be at its lowest, and the air will be it'll be most crisp. I think about this time of year. Can you draw a good deep breath and it feels good in your lungs, as opposed to either Boston where it's so cold that it hurts, or April, May, where it's so pollinated, it's just like your lungs close right up. So you're in that sweet spot where it's going to be good to be alive in Atlanta. Yes, it is a hilly course. Atlanta is a hilly place, but this does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. If you've been serious about the strength all the way through, you might find that your muscles respond really well to the hills. When I am in that fit place that I like to be in, I know that like going uphill, it's kind of like aha, and I have to hold back, and I'm conscious that I'm holding back, and then as soon as the downhill comes, I'm pushing a little bit harder. I'm coasting, and it's just a really, really neat feeling. So when it comes to going up the hill in like the first quarter of the race, I don't like my heart rate to exceed 160, because the further into the race that you go, the harder it will be to get your heart rate back under control. The person who wins the race is who's at the front at the finish, not who crests that first hill the fastest. So back off a little bit and hold back, and don't be afraid to do that when you're going up the hill. And then don't try to consciously make the time up as you're going downhill. Like, don't do math while you're out there. I don't care if you're an engineer. I don't care how smart you are. This is not a smart thing. This is not a mathlon throwdown. You will make bad decisions. You will make bad choices. Just ratchet back a little bit as you go up the hill, and then let yourself lean into it a touch on the way down the hill, but don't conscientiously try to make up the time. If anything, just focus on how you feel. If you really want to have a cap for going up the hills, it'd be like 160 in the first half, 170 in the second half. But just know that each time your heart rate goes up over those thresholds, it's another reason that people do the EAT. You know how hard it is to bring your heart rate down when it's already up and you're working hard. It's hard, regardless of your fitness level. And I wanted to give people a taste of that race situation to force this conversation. So if you haven't done an EAT, don't worry about it. But if you have done one, think back to what that experience was like. And let's not go there on the race day. And the final thing is when you're looking at, and I don't think there are that many dogleg turns of the Atlanta, but there are a couple, and dogleg is a 90-degree angle. You're going to slow down when that happens, and that's okay too. Going around a dogleg or a hairpin is as energy inefficient as going up a hill. So you're going to slow down and you're going to speed back up. Try not to think about it. Move with the crowd and don't try to claw back time. What we really want to do is conserve enough energy that we can bust it all the way to the finish. And that is where you're going to claw back the maximum amount of time. Run it on one hill. You can fling up as hard as you want as up that final hill.
Cool. That just made me excited. I can't wait to hear about it. You're going to do awesome. And let us know. Keep us posted on how your progress goes as you work up to March 1st, a couple weeks away. And then we can't wait to hear how it goes. Can't wait to give you a shout out on this very podcast.
Totally.
All right. The next question is, I cut my long run short today at 6 miles due to sinus congestion, cold rain, and a worrying tightness in my calf. I have a half in 2 weeks with the hope that I can get this calf situation under control with lots of foam rolling and possibly a massage. What should I do for my long run next week? Sorry. Do you want the rest of the context that she's giving?
Before I answer the question about the long runs, I want to talk about the calf a little bit. So if it's the gastroc versus the soleus is the little muscle that protects the Achilles tendon and where it inserts into the gastroc. And that is a really hard muscle to mobilize, and it will cause a lot of pressure on your Achilles tendon. So dry needling is one of the most efficient ways to do it. If you have that available to you, please go see a PT. Hopefully, if you don't have one, look for one that has the OCS certification, who is also licensed to do dry needling and manual therapy. They'll knock the tension out just like that, and that should solve the problem if the problem is indeed your soleus. If it's the gastroc, which is the bigger muscle, that is more likely to be a and when I say an imbalance, it could be in your shoe, like maybe it's time to change or upgrade your shoes. It could be in your electrolyte intake. Those are the first two things I go to when it's a problem with the big calf, because when it's a physiological thing, like we're overtraining, we're doing a lot, that's where it tends to show up. It shows up in soleus. Sorry, if you want to finish the question though.
So the last thing she says here is, my last 3 weeks of long runs have been 11, 10, and 10. Should I try for 12 again next weekend? Just have a short taper, or should I do a taper long run of 6 to 8 miles?
No, change nothing. We don't need to make, if you got 11 miles, you got what you needed. If you got 10 miles, you got what you needed. I'm not worried about that for you. That 1 mile is not going to make the difference. This calf will. Let's get on top of the calf situation. Do whatever you need to do. Don't count the race as a goner, but definitely be good to yourself. Lots of magnesium, lots of Epsom salt baths. Make sure that you see PT if you have that, again, available to you. But tender loving care is going to go a whole lot further than trying to make your long run go a whole lot further.
Yeah, totally agree. Keep us posted. Let us know what's up, especially if you get to see a PT. Let us know what they say. All right, next up we have, I like this question. My son is getting married in April. It's fancy. MK and Sarah, do you wear heels when you glam up? Any brand recommendations?
Nope, I don't. I used to, and I used to love it. And now what I do is very much I think of it as the Russian way. If you go anywhere in Russia in the winter, when I lived there in 1994 and later, people would walk around in their boots and carry their nice shoes in a little plastic bag. And I do that too. So once I show up, I change in the nice shoes and check the snow boots, and then I'm all about it. And that felt so good. I'm kind of like, why do I do this to myself? And I got a pair of sparkly flip-flops, and they're from a company called Yellow Box, and it's I think they are LA based. So if you can imagine, like, I don't know, Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian wearing these super sparkly flip-flops on the sand, they actually do quite well with all my dresses when I'm indoors doing fancy things, or outdoors doing fancy things, or in a long. I get more attention wearing those flip-flops than anything else I put on my body, because people are just like, those look so comfortable. And they got like a foot, like not a foot, sorry, like 3 inches of foam surrounded by sparkles on the bottom and across the top over my toes. So it looks fantastic and it feels great.
That sounds amazing. I need to get some like that. I have one pair of really fancy shoes that I got on sale in Milan while I was teaching study abroad several summers ago, and I was pregnant. They were good, the green ones. I was pregnant when I bought them. My feet and ankles were massively swollen, but I loved this shoe store. I knew that July 1st, everything in the whole country was going on sale, because that's the way it works over there. And I just was like, I'm going to buy these shoes. I'm going to put my feet up on the couch when I get home, and I'm going to take a picture for Instagram with my feet like way up here with the shoes on. And then I'm going to take them home with me, and I'll wear them in like 2 years. And that's exactly what I did. And now I have them, and I wear them like twice a year, maybe. But they make me really happy. And I really only need one pair of shoes that fancy, because other than wearing that pair of shoes, they have to be that good. No heels for me. I'm flats. I have boots with a very low heel that I like to wear. They look a little bit nicer than like my boots that I use for shoveling the driveway. But so much of the time, I have big bunions. The cute shoes don't fit me, and I would rather be comfortable.
I feel you.
Yeah. And black flats can vanish against anything, and I would rather they just vanish.
So I'm just putting in the comments 2 pairs. The pair that I have, it's not popping out at me, but I'm not going through all of them. So I'm putting up there two sparkly pairs. Mine look like the second pair, only I have them in white instead of
sand. Pretty. I like those.
I wish I bought the blue ones faster. They sold out of my size before I got to them. And that's one of the few regrets that I have. I'm like, I regret not grabbing those shoes, because I was like, oh, those look comfy. I would rock down for Fifth Avenue, like not Fifth Avenue, but Park Avenue, wearing those at the end of the New York City Marathon back to the hotel. Like that would have been fun. Fancy.
Yay. Well, that is our last question. I thought that was a good one to end on.
Wow. Gosh, we got through everything quickly tonight.
Yeah, we did. It's a little bit after 8. We rolled through with Katie. We got through a lot of questions in Maintain, and the Mama Bear question in Rebuild. I really like that question. That has me thinking a lot. And I really, the one thing that I didn't really congeal right in the moment. And I wanted to make sure I didn't like, bleh. But the fact that you asked us that in that way really tells me that you're thinking about this and thinking that maybe something is not doing you any favors in the way you're reacting. And so I do hope that all the things that MK said are helpful and resonate with you, and that you can find a way to talk through the feelings that you're having. Because that's what I'm hearing, is that these are not feelings that need to be, you know, shunted to the side. Like, okay, I gotta get over it. I gotta put them over here. I gotta like whatever from Mama Bear mode. They're feelings that need to be talked through. That's my sense.
One of the things, and I put this up on Instagram, I've been kind of open in the past. I mean, I'm always open about therapy anyway, but I'm not, I've been hesitant to lay out specifics because I'm not a clinician, and I can't diagnose, and I want to, frankly, but I talk a lot about my experiences, and I put a couple of things out there. There's my Instagram is at Coach MK Fleming. And I put up a video yesterday afternoon describing the very first, exercise I remember doing when I embarked on cognitive behavior therapy for what ended up being somewhere between 4 and 6 months before I was sent back to my therapist to continue the talk therapy. Like, we need you to develop a couple of tools and break a couple of thought patterns before we start addressing. So I tell you that to tell you this, the question that I used to ask myself and used to ask of my therapist and ask people around me was, I was right. Asking for validation. This behavior was justified. My feeling was justified. I wouldn't talk about my reaction. I would talk about the feeling. I have every right to feel this way. The answer is yes, you do. But is the reaction to that feeling serving you is really the question that I didn't want to answer, because the answer was no. It was, and then that when you step back further, then what am I responding to? All the situations in the past where no one would do that for me, and I needed it so desperately. So so whatever it is that you're doing, that reaction that you're having, like, it's not happening because you're crazy, and it's not happening because it's unwarranted or undeserved. That feeling that you have is probably your superpower, and we share that superpower. Feeling strongly, loving deeply, willing to go to the mattresses for everyone around us, whether or not they're worth it and whether or not they want us to. So that's where I would think about, like, what parts of me do I need to give away? And inside me, there's a people pleaser that would give away every single piece of me till there was nothing left to prove how much I had to give, but thinking that's what I had to do. And if there's a part of you in there too, it might need a little modulation, a little moderation in order to have you here for the long term. And that is not because there's something wrong with you. It's because there's a fire that burns so brightly inside you that is such a gift to this dark, ugly world that it could easily consume you and everyone around you if you're not careful. So let's learn how to wield that light cautiously and carefully, just like you'd be teaching your kids to deal with something on a hot stove. Ain't nothing wrong with you. It's everything you've told me is nothing but right. But let's make sure that these superpowers are serving you.
Yeah. All right. With that, go forth into the night. You're coached and loved. Go watch whatever it is you've been excited to watch, and
That's
maybe.
And
like
you'll be
me.
because I got to tell you, there's one thing Lexapro does not do, Coach Sarah, and I learned that the hard way this week. I'm still jealous as fuck of Corbin's Peloton and Peloton Tread.
It doesn't. You know what? Mine didn't do that either. It didn't just like make a Peloton and Peloton Tread appear in my house, and I'm a little
just
bit
made me not care that she has one and I don't.
Oh, I see.
She was like, I posted her a picture of us this morning and was like, oh, we're here. We've been, we're at a restaurant together after church. And she's like, oh, you went to church and then went to a restaurant. Oh my God, we haven't even left the house. Like, you have a Peloton and a Tread. You don't ever have to leave the house again. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
I didn't leave the house today until 3 p.m. And you know what? I regret leaving the house.
Why did you leave it?
Play date.
Oh.
Which ended very poorly.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I hear the screaming, so you must have won.
I think everyone got very worn out, including me. The nice thing about being on StreamYard is everyone can see how worn out I am, and everyone can see it every time I yawn, even if I stifle it. I am indeed very tired, but we're all going to sleep real well tonight. And tomorrow, no one has to go to school or get up at 5 a.m., hopefully. So,
oh my gosh.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. Is Tristan's home all day?
He is going to have to do a bunch of work, but he is home. Yeah.
Nice. I have no idea what that's like to have a day off with my spouse, because he's always traveling during school holidays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's cool that we get to be together. I'm sad that's only
it's
just
nice
hit
that-
me. Like, oh, how lucky.
It's nice that we at least get to both be in the house. Yeah. We'll be kind of trading off Roz duty so that we can both get our work done, but it'll be nice family day. And Roz is stoked because all she ever wants to do is stay home every morning. First thing, people in Slow Burn can verify because she runs in while I'm doing my strength and goes, "Mommy, is today a home day?" And I'm like, "Nope." And she's like, "You told me it was a home day." And I'm like, "I told you no such fucking thing."
She'll be like, "Mom, you promised me this." I'm like, "No, I didn't." What you talking about? No, I did not.
What are you talking about? Bring
Don't
me
you
the
ever try
receipts.
this? I'm the person who remembers what something Corbin said to me in a happy moment like 15 years ago. Don't you try to pretend I made you a promise I didn't keep.
Yeah. Nope. She tries to pull that shit on me every day, and there is now video evidence of it streaming live in the Slow Burn Facebook group.
We're gonna play it at her wedding.
Yeah, definitely. But tomorrow it is a home day. She is thrilled. 3 home days in a row. We'll probably be in our pajamas most of the day.
I want to see photos of that on Instagram.
Do the best we can. Yay.
I hope everybody enjoys the holiday no matter what you decide to do. If you decide to bake a cake, God bless you. Show us that evidence too. I got so bored we baked the cake, things that you'll never hear me say. But what you will always hear me say is that you are coached and you are loved. And no matter what you choose to do, no matter what, y'all are winning at life. Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. Bye, everyone.